7:07, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Thank you very much for being here. Dan Mandis along with Joan Jones, KGB producing. It is Wednesday. Time to speak to Brian Wilson. It's Wednesdays with Wilson. Brian, how are you?
I'm doing very well, Dan. Hope you're having a good week and have plans. You have big plans for the holiday?
I do. It's funny you should ask, Brian. I'm going to come down to the downtown area, and I'm going to watch all the fireworks.
Downtown Nashville.
No, Brian, downtown Phoenix.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of downtowns.
I'm just kidding. Oh, sorry.
Why are you being so wise to him?
Yeah, I don't know why. He got a chip on his shoulder today. I don't know what.
Oh, no, I don't.
Got an eggshell on his shoulder.
I was going to say, it's not a chip. It's a little piece of an eggshell.
Okay.
Yes, Brian, downtown Nashville. And I can't wait because, Nashville puts on a really good show.
Yeah, absolutely.
Have you ever seen, and Joan, you can chime in on this.
Jane today.
I did.
You were June also.
I'm shanking Joan's name. Joan, you can chime in on this too. Have you ever seen, I know 4th of July, fireworks. Mm-hmm. Have you ever seen a drone show?
No, not in person.
I want to see one.
Oh, my gosh. I saw my first drone show at Dollywood a few years ago. It was incredible.
Yeah.
So, because I think drones, they're able to do things that fireworks just can't.
No.
So,
and with a very exact, I mean, it's really cool what they can do. And as a person who has a drone, I have a drone. Did you know that? I have a drone.
I do remember you talking about your drones.
I'm a droner. And people say, well, we've known that for years because you drone on and on and on and on, Wilson. And I say, I see what you, No, but I do. And they're fascinating. And I would love to see the big drone show. We're going to be at downtown Watertown at 4:00. Well, not downtown, but on Main Street, Watertown, because that's where we have the big squirt gun parade.
You're gonna
where you get in the parade, and with the exception of the classic cars and the horses up front, everybody's fair game. And you drive down the parade, and people on the sidelines have their squirt guns, and they squirt you. And then if you're in the parade, you have your squirt gun, and you squirt back. So everybody, it's refreshing, and it's, on a hot summer day, it's exactly what you need. But it's there's no way you get through the parade without getting completely drenched.
So are you able to get because we've got in my house, Brian, we've got these machine gun squirt guns.
Oh yeah. See, people get really sadistic about it, quite frankly. I mean, one of the things, I was in the parade last year, and when I was driving through, they had people would bring out ice chests and fill them with ice water.
Oh, sure.
So that when they filled their squirt guns, it was extra cold.
Yep.
Which is sort of mean, but then the really sort of innovative people, they just went to their houses, because it's right on Main Street. There's a bunch of houses on Main Street. They just went to the houses and pulled the hose out.
Wow! Sitting
up there on the sidewalk, it's just drenching everybody who came by. It's a lot of fun. But you get, there's a rare chance you get to squirt politicians.
Okay, so who's going to be out there? Is Mark Pody going to be out there?
I heard Mark Pody's going to be there. I don't know who all's going to be there. I haven't checked the list, but it's usually a good turnout of local politicians.
You know what we could do, Joan? We could do, which politician would you most want to squirt?
Oh, man.
Mine would be Chuck Schumer. You knew Chuck Schumer, right?
Yeah,
back in the day?
I remember Chucky, and mine would be what's his name from? Oh, I can't think of his name. Now I'm going to blank out.
Jeffries?
No, it's the guy. What's his name? Anyway, there's a senator who called me a moose one time. Dick Durbin.
Did?
Dick Durbin called me a moose one time.
Get the fire hose out.
I know. I would squirt Dick Durbin if I had the opportunity.
Is he still alive?
Yeah,
he is still alive. What am I thinking?
He's still in the Senate, and he just announced he's not running for re-election.
Yeah.
You're going to be okay with him calling you moose? That was the funniest thing. I remember when you first told me about how Dick Durbin called you a moose.
Well, he did. He called me a moose. And then my friend James Rosen did a caricature.
I love James Rosen.
Yeah, he did a caricature of me because he's a great caricature artist. And he did a caricature of me as a moose taking a munch out of the Capitol Dome. It's one of my favorite things ever. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, anyway.
The reason I ask about Chuck Schumer, Brian, I played this a few minutes ago, where Schumer, he was really able to get one over on the Republicans.
Yeah, he pulled a quick one,
point of order against page one lines 3 to 5 of the pending amendment, which violates Section 313B1A of the Congressional Budget Act of 1974.
The point of order is sustained. The text will be stricken.
So he
basically took out the name. Yeah,
took out the name. Why is this a big deal to try?
Well, I saw that happen in real time, and
Yeah.
I was watching it happened during the show that I was doing, filling in for Chris yesterday,
Yes.
and I saw him do that in real time. And when he looked up, he had sort of like an evil grin on his face.
He
really
did.
did. He really did. He had an evil grin on his face, and like, and basically, somebody had said earlier in the day, the Democrats fell right into the trap of they have adopted the term "big beautiful bill."
Yeah.
I mean, that's what they've been calling it, the big beautiful bill, and every time they do it, it is rather, when you control the language, you control the debate, and the Republicans really had been very successful in getting Democrats to call it the big beautiful bill until Schumer, in a last minute parliamentarian procedure, had him strike the name.
So
and
dumb.
It's so petty. It is so small and it is so petty, but that's where we are in America today.
So Donald Trump pressing the GOP to pass the mega bill. Don't let Dems push you around. So what do you think the chances are Mike Johnson is going to have a vote today? Apparently everybody was able to get back to Washington, D.C. What do you think is going to happen?
Well, there was some question about that yesterday because I think 1,200 flights around the country, especially on the East Coast, got canceled.
Yep.
And so there was a lot of people having trouble getting back, but apparently they are making their way back in. The vote could take place. I don't think he's got the votes as yet. I don't think he's got the votes. That doesn't mean that I don't think he'll give them. Nobody wants to be the one Republican who is responsible for a 68% tax increase.
No.
So ultimately, they're going to get in line, but there's a few who won't. I mean, Chip Roy says he's not going to do it. It went to committee for the rule. In the House, you have to pass a rule before you pass the bill.
Mm-hmm.
So the Rules Committee is incredibly powerful, and you've got to get the rule passed before you can take up the legislation. 2 Republicans in the Rules Committee voted against it.
Who were they?
And Chip Roy was one of them. I forget who the other is,
Okay.
but Chip Roy of Texas, but it passed because you have a majority in that committee, and the Republicans had enough votes to squeak it out. But that's how tight it is, and a lot of people will vote to let things go forward with the rule, but then might vote against the measure. So, as it stands right now, I don't think he's got the votes. I think he will get the votes. And, apparently what happens is Trump said this the other day to somebody. He said, what happens is I'll call people up and expecting to have a real, tough sales job. And when I get them on the line, the member of Congress will say, I'm with you 100%, Mr. President. Don't you worry. I'll be there. And he said, it's really what it boils down to is that these people just want to be called. They want to be appreciated.
I was going to ask you about that because there are some congressmen who I've interviewed who they talk about getting a call from Donald Trump. 2, actually. One was Scott DesJarlais. The other one was Tim Burchett.
Tim Burchett does it all the time.
Yeah.
And I didn't I say at some point, I think I may have asked him, isn't it just nice to be called by the president? Like, are you gunning for that? Is that what you're doing? And he said no. But there's a part of me that thinks that politicians, as much as they'll say they don't like the attention, I think they like the attention.
I think they'll like the attention. And so, I don't know. I think they'll squeak it out. But one way or the other, they won't bring it up if they don't have the votes, and they'll keep working to figure out a way. But when Donald Trump gets on the phone, and you're a member of Congress, and 63, listen to this number, 63% of Republicans.
Yep.
63 are strongly in favor of what this president is doing, not just in favor, strongly in favor. When you add those who are mostly in favor, it goes up to like 92% of Republicans. So if you are against Donald Trump, you are against the vast majority of Republicans, and you won't survive very long. That's okay if you're not running for re-election, like, Tom Tillis.
Right.
But if you have to run for re-election, you do not want to be primaried, and because Trump has a real good history of getting the people that he supports, in primaries to be the next elected official. His primary nominations do very well.
And it was crazy.
If you're worried about that, then you have to sort of roll over on it. I don't know. It's going to be real close.
And the amazing thing about that was he even beat out Ronald Reagan. That was
I
the
know.
shocking part.
I
It's
know.
like Ronald Reagan, both Bushes as well. And I mean,
it's a remarkable 6 months. It has been just an amazing. And it was, we're 6 months into the year as of yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
A little less than 6 months because he got sworn in on the 20th of January. So we're approaching him actually being in office 6 months, and he has accomplished an amazing amount. It's just been win after win after win. I can't recall in all the years, and I started covering Washington in a serious way in the second term of Ronald Reagan.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't recall a time where I've seen a president who's just been on a complete domination winning streak like this guy has. And mainly it's, I think a lot of it is he's winning because he's taking on popular positions. He has found, somebody who's telling him, this is what the American people care about, and he's listening to that person. But what's interesting about it is that it forces the Democrats to take on the opposite position of whatever is popular.
All right.
And they just fall for it every single time. If Trump's for it, then I got to be against it.
It's almost like, Lucy and the football with Charlie Brown. It's like, you know that it's coming, yet they fall for it every time. All right, real quick, we got to check the roads on WTN. Mm-hmm. As far as your weather goes, it's going to be nice the next few days. As far as Sunday goes, weather through Sunday, highs in the mid-90s with some clouds as well. But it doesn't sound like we're going to have any low clouds or anything like that, low-lying clouds or anything like that. So it sounds like it's going to be a really good night for fireworks on Friday night. Brian, you can relate to this. Do you know what I'm most excited about July 4th?
No, what is it?
It's on a Friday.
Yeah, that's right.
Which means that I don't have to get up early the next morning.
That's right. So you sleep in.
That's exactly right. All right, real quick. So, number of things that are going on. What do you think of, because I know you and I spoke about this at the time, it turns out Donald Trump has now, you had CBS that they have settled the lawsuit with Donald Trump. It was that whole interview with Kamala Harris where they edited it to make her look good and influence the election. CBS now caved, and they have agreed to settle, and they're giving Donald Trump a whole bunch of money. So what do you think of that? Were you surprised?
Could be north of $30 million, according to some reporting. Yeah, listen, it is a tremendous, interesting thing. And the folks at CBS did not want, the reporters, the frontline people, the editorial people at CBS News did not want them to settle this lawsuit. They were dead set against it. So there's a lot of internal turmoil right now at CBS. People are pretty upset that Paramount and CBS are willing to pay this out. But, when you really think about it, they're looking at it, well, do you really want to be in a lawsuit against the president of the United States taking lumps every day? Or do we just want to settle this thing and move on? I think, and the cost of actually carrying out a trial could be very expensive. So in the grand scheme of things, there's always a number in these kind of suits where, if you give me this number, you're going to come out not having to pay for lawyers and go to an expensive lawsuit, and we're going to move on and it's going to be done. But it is interesting that this case has been brought and that CBS is going to settle because it acknowledges that Donald Trump was right.
Yes.
And they were wrong. It's just like another win. I cannot believe the number of wins. And this is outside of regular government. This is sort of personal. Mm-hmm. But it's another victory for Donald Trump.
Well, and for folks that are not familiar with the story, let me just very quickly retrace it. This is when Kamala Harris was interviewed by 60 Minutes and CBS, and they edited one of her answers to make her sound more confident and concise and smarter.
Right.
And it was about Israel. So this was the original answer.
But it seems that Prime Minister Netanyahu is not listening.
Well, Bill, the work that we have done has resulted in a number of movements in that region by Israel that were
her voice cracks.
Very much prompted
she
by
didn't have an answer
or a result of many things, including our advocacy for what needs to happen.
She's flailing at this point, and they realize
absolutely
that.
Flailing.
And it's the middle of the campaign, and so they said, so they asked her the question again, and they took her second answer and re-edited it in.
Yeah, here's that audio.
But it seems that Prime Minister Netanyahu is not listening.
We're not going to stop pursuing what is necessary for the United States to be clear about where we stand on the need for this war to end.
But it seems
So
that-
one of the things, and I bring this up with you, Brian, I hosted Red Eye Radio last night. Guy called up and challenged me on this topic because he said, well, Fox News admits to editing Donald Trump all the time. My contention is that they number one, they don't take Donald Trump out of context. Number two, Donald Trump is famous for his weave, where he just
Right.
he includes 50 different things in an answer.
Right.
And so, but they're not trying to make him look better. Kamala Harris,
They were trying to improve it, and it was like giving a gift to the campaign.
And here's the other thing, is that they ran the original answer, the long, confused answer in the promo, but then when the actual show aired, they had the clean answer, which I thought was interesting. And you've got some insight on TV. Why would they do that?
Well, in television news, and I worked in television, I mean, there's always this discussion about, well, if you're going to edit somebody, you got to do it fairly. Now, people don't speak in straight lines. And if, for example, you might start out with a really strong statement, and then you give a lot of background and context that's really not that important to the understanding of the story, then you come back and finish that original thought. Well, you can take out that stuff as long as it doesn't, you're not editing it out of context, or you're not changing the meaning of what he said.
Yep.
It's edited. You have to edit for time. There's just no way that you can do television news without some editing. But there's supposed to be some good faith there, that you edit in an honest and ethical way, so that you're not changing the meaning and you're being fair and giving that person an opportunity to say their part. In this particular case, what they did was they changed the answer in order to help her campaign.
Obviously trying to influence the election.
It's like they were trying to influence the election. It was bad, and they were going to get beaten up on the head when this thing went to trial every day. And I think CBS just decided discretion was the better part of valor. Let's just settle this thing. So
yeah, and I also don't think that they wanted this story perpetually in the news. I think they want this to go away because it helped to destroy their credibility.
Every day there would be, there'd be strong. Here's the latest development in the lawsuit between the president and CBS, and they don't want that. So they just, it's just easier for them to pay it out. But I got to tell you, at CBS News, internally in CBS News, they are not happy that they've done this.
All right, Brian, one more very important question. What is your favorite fireworks? You've got your fountains, you've got your sparklers, you've got your rockets, you've got the big boom thing, you got the snakes thing that you light it up and the ashes would come out like snakes.
Yeah, I know. I worked in a fireworks store when I was a kid.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. And people would come in there and they'd buy, well, what does this one do? And you would just make something.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, it has red and gold sparklers. And I was a junior high school kid. I just made it up.
Yeah.
But I guess I like just the big boom. I wish I could get a hold of some old fashioned. They're impossible to find. M80s. Oh, those
M80s?
were fun. M80s.
Oh, yeah.
Man, that thing made a noise.
I bet you can come down to Nashville. There's some guy named Guido down at the corner of whatever.
Somebody will tell you some. Yeah, but I haven't found any yet. So, but we got a big fireworks display, of course, after the parade here in Watertown. So
yes.
We'll do that, and then the church does my church up here on the corner does a really nice little fireworks display tonight. So
is there anything else you'd like to brag about Watertown?
We got a lot.
Anything
Watertown is the greatest city in the entire state of Nashville, entire state of Tennessee. You know that.
I sure do.
It is. So
that's why you moved there, Brian Wilson.
That's right.
Are you on at 9?
I'm on at 9. I'm on in just a few minutes if you'll let me go and prepare.
Go on. Thank you, Brian.
So much. And by the way, thanks to the Wellness Institute of Nashville for supporting my appearances on this program.
Absolutely. And we'll hear you at 9 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It's got to go smooth as feathers out now.
Are we still going to do this?
Well, I mean, I am.
We can. Okay. Then
no.
It's funny because we're running so late. I'm feeling a little scrambled.
No.
So we got to
make it stop.
7:39, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. So this flew under my radar, Joan, but apparently I'm watching CNN, and I guess Donald Trump, they say, threatened to arrest Zoran Mamdani, the guy who wants to be the New York mayor. I did find the audio. This was yesterday in the midst of all the other things that are going on. This is what the president said about possibly arresting Zohran Mamdani. Listen.
Your beloved New York City may well be led by a communist soon, Zohran Mamdani, who in his nomination speech said he will defy ICE and will not allow ICE to arrest criminal aliens in New York City. Your message to communist Zohran Mamdani?
Well, then we'll have to arrest him. And a lot of people are saying he's here illegally.
All right, so the president saying that, well, you know what? Then we're going to have to arrest you. And I mean, I would have no problem with that. If he is breaking the law, then he should be arrested. No, he's not here illegally. Well, okay, we went through this yesterday.
Yes.
So yes. I don't want to just blanket say no, he's not here illegally. But that form N-400, he filled it out. He filled it out in 2018 so that he would be naturalized and he could become a legal citizen. And he filled it out, and he failed to mention on the form, according to Andy Ogles, that he did mention that he had written that rap song that praised a couple of guys who had been convicted of trying to send $12 million to Hamas, money laundering. And they tried to. They got caught, I guess. But these guys were clearly Hamas supporters, and they tried to send them $12 million. And so old Mamdani there, when he was a fledgling rapper, he talked about and he rapped about how great these guys were. And so I think, I don't think he's here illegally, but they could find that he's here illegally because he lied on that form. I think I got all that right. You asking me to redo like yesterday's segment, and I'm like, oh, crap, what was it again? Let me see if I can find it. Because I thought that it was, okay, so that is, Yeah, I don't know if I would say that he's here illegally. I think that, it was the Holy Land 5, and they had been convicted for funneling $12 million to Hamas. And in this rap song, he wrote, "My love to the Holy Land 5, you better look them up, and free the Holy Land 5, my guys." And so that is clearly showing support. I don't know about aid, but that is clearly showing support for terrorists. And so he didn't put that on his form. And so he is, people are saying he's not here legally. Or at the very least that you could prove that he was lying on the N-400. Andy Ogles, he was on Newsmax. Let me just go ahead and finish this. Andy Ogles, I've got audio coming up from somewhere. Stand by, and there we go. So this is Andy Ogles, and he says, he should be investigated.
Well, I'll let the president speak to that. I have not seen those claims, but sure.
That's actually not Andy Ogles. This is Andy Ogles.
Part of the process when you fill out the naturalization forms, which, here's a copy of one here, is you've got to disclose your activities. So like communism, anti-American activities. And so in 2018, when he was naturalized, he failed to disclose some of the things that he had been doing, one of which was joining the Democrat Socialists of America. That's a communist organization, which quite frankly, at that time, would have disqualified him from becoming a United States citizen. So what we're encouraging to do is the Justice Department to look into the timing of his joining that organization. It would have been anti-American. It would have fit the definition of what he would have been required to disclose, and quite frankly, would have made him most likely ineligible to become a naturalized citizen.
All right, so there you go. So not here illegally. He's been naturalized. He's a legal citizen, did all that stuff. But can it be proven that he lied? And if he lied, then what are they going to do about Zohran Mamdani? Can I tell you this, Joan? I hope that he loses because I can't handle saying his name for another many years. Lord.
I know that if you just take the H out of the first name, you'll look, when you look at it, you'll be able to say it better.
All right, so how do you say it?
Zohran Mamdani.
Zohran? Like that's
Zohran.
it? Zohran Mamdani?
Yeah.
Mamdani.
Right. Mamdani, yeah.
I heard Hannity try to, I felt so much better. I heard Hannity try to say it last night.
Yeah.
He completely butchered it. You know what he said? He says, whatever the hell his name is.
See?
I'm in good company.
You're in good company.
I was listening to another talk show host out of market yesterday. He also shanked it. I actually sent him a text, and I didn't even have to comment anything. I just sent him a couple of laughing emojis. He knew exactly what I was talking about. All right, it is 7:45, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Time to check the roads. All right, 7:45, as far as your weather goes through Sunday, highs in the mid-90s with some clouds. By the way, we are going to have Stefano DiPietro. He's going to be calling in at about 8:35. It's going to be your official July 4th forecast right here on Super Talk 99.7. By the way, Joan, I was unsuccessful in trying to get Congressman Scott Desjardins to call in from the airplane.
Okay.
He says apparently that's frowned upon.
Well, I think when you're sitting in the seat next to somebody and they're trying to watch a movie and you're talking on the phone, it's rude.
I don't care.
Because it's not
It's all about freedom, Joan. We have freedoms even at 35,000 feet. Anyway, he says back when they could charge you to use their phones, it was perfectly okay.
Yeah.
He's
That's
absolutely
true.
right. So anyway, we'll see what happens. What a great night last night, by the way. We're talking to Brian Wilson about everything that Donald Trump has been victorious at. He has had like win after win after win, and it's really great. Now, last night, there was another win that Donald Trump got, and it was announced on Laura Ingram's show by Linda McMahon. Listen.
Thanks to President Trump and the Trump administration, what he campaigned on, what he actually signed an executive order on, which was that men will not be able to compete in women's sports, was acknowledged by the University of Pennsylvania. We have signed an agreement with them, and we hope that that agreement is going to be a template for other universities who acknowledge that there is no room for men in women's sports, not only during the competition, but also in the locker room and other intimate spaces where these women were required to be with males who changed in front of them. So this is a big deal. The university is apologizing. It is taking away the titles that were incorrectly given to men. It has stated that it will not have anything on its website other than the fact that they are complying, with Title IX. We are just very pleased with the outcome that we had today. It's an utter triumph for President Trump and for the administration, but mostly for the women and girls who will come behind the Riley Gaines and the Paula Scanlons.
Yeah, I mean, that is great news. By the way, we're talking about how the Democrats, they always have to pick the most asinine takes opposite of Donald Trump. In a statement, Philadelphia Council members Jamie Gauthier, Rue Landau, and State Representative Rick Krajewski said they were deeply disappointed in the University of Pennsylvania's decision to reward a politically motivated campaign that seeks to erase transgender athletes under the narrative of equity in sports. Isn't that interesting? Interesting. Equity is really important to them unless they're talking about girls and women. Now, what I want to know is, are they going to give the medals to the biological females, the females who maybe came in second? Because if you're taking away, like Riley Gaines, so if you're going to take away the medals from the transgender females, the males pretending to be women, then should you then in turn give it to the female that came in second place? Like, for example, Riley Gaines.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but it doesn't sound like they are.
I know. I didn't hear that either.
Right. Well, here's more from Linda McMahon.
I mean, how can these young women be denied their opportunity for scholarships, for medals? And just they have to be able to enter into these sports and to feel safe. I mean, Peyton McNabb got a volleyball smashed against her face, broke her nose.
Oh, God.
And she had brain injury from it. Then we have other athletes, Stephanie Turner, who took a knee instead of competing, in a fencing competition because she didn't want to face a man.
So if Leah Thomas then has to give back the medals, his medals, well then where do those medals go? They should go to Riley Gaines because they, and you probably know this, Joan, they pretty much tied. I mean, they were so close that any other day, this was a tie. But if you've heard her interviewed, she says, the people in charge of the swim meet, they said that those medals had to go to Leah Thomas, even though we basically tied. And she said, why?
Insane.
And I think they said something about equity. And Leah Thomas, in case you don't know the story, I don't even know. If I knew what his real name was, I would be referring to Leah Thomas as whatever his real name is. But you know who I'm talking about.
Yep.
And so I believe that she should get those medals. Now, I don't know if she wants them because the whole thing is kind of like a, stain now, if you know what I mean.
Yep.
Because Riley Gaines has been physically attacked by these nut jobs. She has had death threats. Remember when she was in San Francisco, she tried to give a speech and the nut jobs over there, they trapped her in a room.
Bathroom, yeah.
Yeah. And it took forever for the cops to come and get her out because the cops were scared of all of these transgender nut jobs. Yep. Anyway, she was there last night too on Fox News. This was, by the way, Fox News on Laura Ingraham's show.
To say that I, of course, am grateful for Secretary McMahon, for President Trump, for even Attorney General Bondi. She's been fantastic at the Department of Justice on this issue is an understatement. I feel vindicated. I feel like pigs are flying. I feel like hell has frozen over. So it is a fantastic day, of course, for sanity, for common sense. But I think more broadly for women, for humanity, for the little girl that I'm growing inside of me right now that I will welcome to the world in just a few weeks. I think of her. I think of her future. Mm-hmm. That is what Donald Trump and, of course, Secretary McMahon and myself, that is what we are fighting for. So very, very excited about today's news.
Yeah, it is. Now, the question is, will all of these other schools, will they all fall in line? Because, this is happening all over the place. And also, of course, it's happening in personal gyms. Like a lot of these gyms, they will actually allow men pretending to be women in the women's locker rooms or the bathrooms. This has been happening all over the place. So the big question ultimately then will be, will the other colleges follow suit? And I hope that they will. Somebody says Leah Thomas's real name is William. I don't know if that's true or not. But somebody on the super text line. Can you look that up, KGB? What is Leah Thomas's real name? I'm just curious because I think the American people are pretty much tired of all of this stupidity. And I think that is clearly evident. Even if you're not, a supporter of Donald Trump, I think people are just tired of it. I was talking to a guy earlier today. They put, I don't know if you remember this, Joan, but there was an MMA fighter that got in the cage.
Yes.
With
William
female.
Thomas, by the way.
What is it?
William Thomas.
All right, so William Thomas. All right.
Willie.
Good old
Willie. Yeah.
You know what? What'll make you upset? I Googled Leah Thomas' real name, and it just went with Leah Thomas is her real name. That's Google for you.
Oh.
Does Willie still have his Willie? Or did he get the surgery? Do we know? I just wanted to say that joke. I'm sorry.
I really don't want to have to look up, did William Thomas cut off his genitals? I really don't want to put that on Google.
Well, I think we should.
You
don't need it for Google. Just do it on Grok.
You'll notice that...
I don't want to have to type that in, is what I'm saying.
Go ahead, Joan. Joan will never get fired. She's a female.
I know.
Totally kidding, Joan. Totally kidding.
Does Willie still have his Willie?
I can't believe I said that. Let's see. You know what? I'm genuinely curious.
You proud of yourself? Egg puns and now this? When is enough, Dan?
Egg puns and now Willie puns.
When is enough?
I think it's pretty much now. What?
Grok said, I'm assuming you're referring to Willie Nelson.
Wait. Did Willie Nelson cut off his Willie?
No.
Okay. Just had to make sure.
Yeah, no. Hey, you want to do the tease?